Okay guys, this is the third part of the tutorial. What we're going to do now is just open up the file, get the error, just continue. You want to save it as a new file. Okay, just right away so we don't override anything. Now what we're going to do in this one is model his equipment. His sword, his scabbard, his crest. Okay, so let's start with his crest. What we could do here is also let's feel free to model a little more, change things around as you go. So maybe if you want to pull these out just a little bit. And you just pull it in as you get towards the back. Oops, see, I selected the wrong vertex. Don't forget that this is mirrored halfway, so you're only working on half. Okay, now what you want to do to make the crest is you want to select these polygons on the side. And going to detach as a clone. Select these new polygons you made. Call them crest. Now you want to select bottom polygons and you want to pull them up and out. Now what that did is it literally, pulled the polygons, okay, but it also flipped them over. So now what we're going to do, this is a little anomaly, so you just get rid of that. Just select everything and flip. That flips the normals. So now it looks correct. And you just snap that to place. And just shape this. This ridiculously big crest he has. I guess all crests are ridiculously big. And we're just going to cut this once. See, if you could see this little line, I'm not sure if it's going to turn up on your tutorial. It looks like maybe there's a hidden polygon. So to check, you should just select that area, deselect the polygons you see, and it says 0, so there's actually not a polygon there. Okay, and now we could just you could see that the crest goes about there. Yeah, it's about right. It's good enough. It's the right height. Okay, now what we can do is select the object, edit, clone. You could also just press Control V as a shortcut. You want to create a copy. move it. Now you want to move it over to the middle. And this is just going to give a more full look to the crest. You could also change the different sizes so it looks a little more random. Oops. Okay, and ideally you would want to do that with the other two. You wouldn't just want to flip them. You could also move this object straight to the center, or close enough to the center. So that way you'll have 3 of these planes. Okay, and just snap them to where they're supposed to be. Snap it to the midpoint. Okay, that looks good. That doesn't look good. There we go. And that seems all right. Now let's work on the sword. Okay. You just take a look at the size of the sword. It goes from about his elbow down, let's say his elbow, so it's all together. You just start by drawing a box. Figure his elbow goes down to about there. Convert this into elbow poly. And you just pull the box down. That's a big sword. It's a big, two-handed or war sword, great sword, bastard sword, whatever you want to call it. So again, let's just shape the sword. This will be the general shape. Okay, this is the side of the sword. And now what we could do is slice plane, and we could just slice. Let's take a look at where the handle goes from about the elbow to the hand, so the handle's about the size of the forearm. So that's actually what we do is we're going to split it. So now we have the handle, which we could round out a little bit. Oops. Okay. So now what we're actually going to do is we're going to forget what I did before, pull it out to a square. I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees. Because just like the leg, you want if you have a four-sided figure that's supposed to represent a cylinder, you want the four-sided figure to circumscribe inside the cylinder and not outside of it. And that way you have the vertical running front along the knee, along the sides, instead of having a cube. This is a cube, but it looks a lot less cubical because of the way it's oriented. And you want the same thing for the sword. Okay, so pull this out a little bit. Should be pulled in. And it doesn't have to lie on center. Since the handle should be pretty cylindrical, you want to even it out. But the blade itself, you actually want to compress in one direction. Okay, now to get the point, you want to take this and you want to extrude just a little bit. Just let those collapse. And now you can make another box for, oops. You can make another box for the hilt. Okay, so you want these to be 3 separate elements at the moment. And also, let's make that a little bit skinnier. Also, you could select this, extrude it a little bit, flare it out, and now you have a pommel. Okay. Let's make this a little wider, or give it the appearance at least. Okay, and now what you could do is to attach the crossguard, you can just use the attach. And now when you select it by element, you have 3 distinct elements, which are going to help you with a lot of things. Okay, so just name this primary weapon, and you're done with the sword. And now let's see what else we need. We need his pauldrons. Okay, so his pauldrons look like a segmented pauldrons. If we look in here, it's not as pixelated. You can see they have a series of segments, okay, going down the arm. So we could probably break those up into 2 larger segments. We have one piece over here along the shoulder, probably rigid, attached to the breastplate. Then we have one piece that moves with the shoulder, moves with the arm. So select the objects. And there are a couple ways to do this. I'm going to start with a new plane actually. You could have selected a loop around the arm and extruded it. Well, I'm going to start with the plane. Separate 3 ways lengthwise, or so you can bend it around the arm. Move it into place. And turn it into edible poly. And now you could move it by edges and vertices. And smooth those so it gives that more appropriate look. And again, this should attach the breastplate in the back. So we should move this back a little bit. And you can see that our pauldron doesn't go down far enough at this point. So, and also it looks to come out about far enough. But it should go down to the armpit almost. Okay. And now you could just select these edges. Extrude. Turn your base width all the way down. Turn your height all the way down. Move them out a little bit. Move them down a little bit. You want to select them. And detach as a new object. Select the object. Now you want to move these under a little bit. And you also want to move them tighter. And these plates would actually be connected skin to the arm, so when the arm moves, these plates move. Okay, I'll go over that later. And move these out so they have more coverage. And you may need to adjust the original object as well. And go back to the under piece. And once more over here. And I think that's good enough. And now you just want to attach these two pieces together. Name them pauldrons. Okay, now let's make the scabbard for the sword. Now the scabbard, you want to make a box, unlike the blade, which you want to rotate 90 degrees. So this is real easy. You just convert it into editable poly and just move it so it just covers the bounding area of the sword. You don't want it to be much wider or larger. It'll look extremely out of place. And now you have the scabbard. Okay, and now since we are, let's just take one more look. I'll show you how to do a spear also, and we may as well do the standard since we're here. Spear again is real easy, but it's a different sort of workflow. You just create a box. Okay, let's make it 2 by 2, or rather 1 by 1. And let's just turn it into editable poly. You want to, again, you want to rotate 90 degrees, or 45 degrees rather. Now you want to just select this piece, go into your front view, extrude, apply. This is going to bring out the head, and okay once more, and that's going to bring in the head. So now you just real simply shape your spearhead. It's likely they had a longer spearhead. Oops. And that's how you have your spear. It's real easy, and the standard is essentially the same thing for just a pennant standard like that. Just make your box 1 by 1. Again, go into your front view, to an editable poly, figure out how high you want the standard, rotate it 45 degrees, since you want to approximate a circle. Now just make a plane in your front view, where you want the standard. Make sure it has 1 in both length and width segments. And if you want something square, that's fine, but we want something triangular, so just want to collapse these two. Make sure you line up with the standard. Move it down a little bit. And to get that sort of flowingness, you're going to have to add in polys. And I don't even suggest making a pennant-like standard like this, but it's a couple feet over his head, so. Oops. So, because this whole piece is actually only 1 polygon. So just turn it 90 your slice plane, turn it 90 degrees, and just slice in some geometry. and adjust those a little bit. So now it looks like it's swaying in the wind. Okay, and last we're going to work on his cape. His cape looks like it attaches somewhere in the back. Okay, there's no fasteners along the front. You can get pretty close, and I still don't see them anywhere. So we're going to hide the pauldrons for now. Click on them, right click, and go to hide selection. So what we're going to do for the cape is select the object, select an edge, or actually, change my mind. We're going to use a new object again. I'm going to create a plane with 2 width segments, converted elbow poly. You want to move it 0 on the X. Since you want to mirror it, you want to delete the one side. Move these up, shape however wide you want the cape. Move it back a little bit. Also, select the polygon you flip. So now you can see the cape from the back. Move it closer a little bit. There are a few different ways you could do the cape. The easiest way is to just attach. So just snap it to vertices that follow the back. Okay, so for this, oops, you just want to pull it straight back. And now, the best example of this sort of cape I remember is from, I believe it's Odysseus in the Troy movie with Brad Pitt. He has a cape sort of like this. And also, you just make a little one segment. Rotate it 90 degrees. This is just going to be a button for his cape. Don't forget to work orthographically, not just in perspective view. Okay, it's a lot of things people forget to do when they're starting out. And ultimately, you work a lot in perspective view, but orthographically will give you good foundations. So let's cut this. Give one more polygon. Cut it over here to over there. Try to get rid of that clipping. And that's it for the basic modeling of his cape. We also now just need to cut in some more geometry so it deforms correctly. To get different view, just right click, go to views, back. Just want to flip this 90 degrees. And ultimately, these are going to change when you see exactly where your bones are, but you need to separate that into 3. Also, feel free to shape the geometry again. The exact position is going to change. Also, if you get much lower than the normal Rome Total War capes are about this high. If you get much lower than this, actually they're probably around this high, around waist high. Okay, so they're probably up around here. If you get lower than this, you're going to start getting some strange deformations. If you get this low, it's probably going to give you some problems. It depends how you want the unit to look. Okay, so right now I think that's all of his equipment. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish mirroring the model. You want to, let's just attach these two. Let's clean up any extra stuff. Let's call it standard. Okay, and you got to unhide by name, unhide those pauldrons from before. Just make sure they okay, so actually we could get rid of fastener. And we should also move out these pauldrons so they don't go into the cape. There we go. Okay. There we go. So now we want to edit, mirror. First, before we do this, sometimes your 3D Max will crash. Just save your file. Now you want to mirror, copy, and you want to get this plane onto the x-axis. Okay. Actually, that didn't work. Yes, it did. There we go. Okay, now you could just right-click and do Convert to Editable Poly. That'll get rid of that modifier. You could click the sword. You could hide the sword. Hide the spear. The scabbard. Could hide, let's call this image plane. Could hide that. Now you want to select this cape. Do the same thing, except mirror will just create an instance of your object. Symmetry will create an instance and wield your object also, or weld it together rather. Okay, so just turn this down though. Okay, and you can see how that welds it. Convert to editable poly. I would also suggest not making this so flat. And as long as you adjust both sides at the same time, it's good. Or even if you don't, it'll add some asymmetry to the model, which is always nice. I actually think this is too wide. There are different ways you can make capes, which I've done in I've done for some units in the 4th Age, but it's a little out of the scope of what I'm presenting here. But I'm sure you could figure it out how you could get capes that go along the arms. Okay, up over the arms, it would almost be like pauldrons, and could fasten in the front like cloaks rather than the Rome Total War, you know, kindergarten play capes like someone said they looked like. Now you could select all these. You select the cape again. Select all the polygons. Okay, and you want to detach them as an element and a clone. Now that means you have sort of these two elements you could use, but instead of moving it off, you just want to flip the element. Okay, and now you have a double-sided cape. Now, just save again as you keep doing this. It turns up later we may need to double-side the pauldrons, but for now we're just going to leave it. We don't need to double-side the greaves. Last thing we need to do double-side is the crest. Select this. The one piece you want to detach it. It's an element and a clone, and you want to flip it. And you just want to mirror that over the z-axis in this case. Okay, we're just going to convert it. We're going to move it ourselves. You want to select the actual metal piece of the crest. You want to symmetry. And likewise, we want to put it across the z-axis and move that plane to 0. Actually, they go a little past each other. It lies a little bit off the z-axis. So what you could do is select each vertex so it lies on the z-axis and just input 0 as its each vertex that should be along the axis. Just input 0 as its value. Okay, now when you do symmetry again, you'll see that they actually line up and they mirror. So, and just do this piece with select it, detach it as an element and a clone, and once again just flip. And what you may want to do is detach these two, just for the time being, as separate objects, just so, and now just adjust one set of the vertices just a little bit to give a little more variation to the crest. Okay. And now you can actually attach all of these together. Make sure you have them all selected. Just call this metal crest. Call this feather crest. Could hide those two objects. Could hide the pauldrons. Could hide the cape. Now you're left with the unit once again. You could select the half that was instanced, delete it. Okay, you could also take the helmet, just name it helmet, and now you want to delete these extra polygons on the head. So select the helmet, just press Alt and X. It's going to make it transparent. You can also assign a transparent material, but this is just easier. Now you select the body, and whatever polygons don't show up, just delete them. At this point, you could once again select this, turn off transparency, so now you can see if you actually select the polygon. If it's going to be seen, and I suggest you leave that one. You leave that one. And that's it. You can delete the rest. Okay, now there are no empty areas really, or areas without normals. Helmet, body 400. Now you can mirror him. You're going to want to mirror him and not symmetry him, and I'll show you why in right here. You see, mirror how the mouth, you have these four vertices. If you symmetry and you wilt it together, actually, since his size is increased, you may be okay. Yeah. Normally, even at 0.01, if you don't scale up the model, you see how the mouth works over here, where it gets welded together. You're going to lose the lips. It's not going to be that severe, but you're going to lose the lips. Okay, so you just want to keep that. So we can actually use symmetry in this case. Convert to editable poly. It didn't wield some vertices, so you could see. So, oops. Oh, maybe it did. Yeah, it did. Okay, I think you got all of them. So now just do the same thing with the helmet. Symmetry. Just always turn off slice along mirror. And just last but not least, select these few polygons over here for the jaw guard. Detach them as a clone and as an element. Just flip them that way. Now you have that jaw guard over there. Okay, so save, Control S, unhide all, and now you can see you have your model is complete. Next we move on to UV mapping. Okay, then we get into rigging and animating. Well, not the actual animation, but setting it up so you could export it into Rome Total War, and then we get to texture painting. Just to show you how to set up the texture. We'll probably do it at the same time as UV mapping. So just one final save. Okay, and that's all, guys. I hope you enjoy my tutorials. Hopefully this gives you a good foundation for the next part of the series, which should be coming out soon. Okay, bye.